Hello, Ryan here, and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all of the news from the week just past. Be sure to subscribe if you like what you see, and let's get on with it. This week, we learn a lot more about the weapons, tools, and gadgets of the verse and the team who create them. Server meshing tests on the Tech Preview channel are underway once again. Plus, we are still awaiting the preliminary Evocati PTU for Alpha 324, previously known as Alpha 323.2. So this week's Inside Star Citizen was meeting the weapon contents team while also checking out some of the new upcoming weapons. Now, for the next 3 weeks, Jared says Inside Star Citizen will be a little different, with these episodes sharing more about the developers rather than just what they're working on. With one episode sounding like it'll be a dev diary from the networking team, updating us on the server meshing tests that happened earlier this year, and the other one being with the level design team to hear more about what they learnt from the process of building out the Stanton system and how they are applying that to the Pyro system. So some really interesting episodes coming up in the next 3 weeks, especially that server meshing test episode. I would love to hear what they found out and what they're doing to bring it out to us. Anyway, my coverage of this week's Inside Star Citizen won't be including all the meet and greet aspects with the various developers, only the development progress, so if you want to see who the developers are that are working on the weapons, be sure to watch the episode for yourself. Now, the weapon content team are responsible for any and every weapon that we see in-game, including melee weapons, FPS weapons, tools like extinguishers and multi-tools, and ship weapons as well. And they will see these items go from concept through to completion. Now, we also saw a lot of unseen items in development here, however it is hard to say what they are exactly and whether we will even see them in the verse, but it has been said a while back that Cloud Imperium want all manner of weapons and items and gadgets and tools, so expect to see a massive range of options as development continues. So the first weapon that we got to see was the Bearing P8AR civilian version, which is the civ version of the military weapon that we will be using in Squadron 42. And they want to keep that military version, or the mil-spec version, for Squadron, be that an exclusive Squadron item, but they will be bringing us the civilian version first. Now this is an assault rifle that is tailored to the civilian market, and it's slightly longer and bigger than the P4, which is a very popular assault rifle at this time. I do feel like the P8AR will probably replace that for most people, but it will also come with a few different skins as well as it makes its way into the PU. And it is a beautiful rifle. The whole P8 or P4 range all look very similar now that they've updated the P4, and I do love Bearing weapons, and it seems like they are the go-to military weapons as well, or the military manufacturer, so they should be pretty sturdy. Now next up, we got to see Volt, who are a weapon manufacturer who specialize in electric and beam weapons using electric batteries to power them. Now they say that their style is called professionally homemade, meaning it's not just thrown together using whatever they can find, but it's also not done in a professional manner like you would see with Bearing. Now they rely on cheap materials, so don't expect for long-term reliability, but the chances are they're pretty cheap to buy. Now they did say that they want players to use these weapons, but also repair and upgrade them, as they look like they could be stripped down and field repaired, maybe in your ship's workshop as well. So hopefully by saying that, we can see a lot of customization with certain weapons in the verse, in this sort of way, especially when crafting comes along, as it would be really cool to customize all weapons really, not just the Volt weapons, in various ways to suit our needs beyond just scopes and attachments. Maybe some of the more professional manufacturers won't allow that kind of customization, whereas manufacturers like Volt would. We will see. But personally, I really love the style of the Volt weapons, and from what I've seen, there will be some skill to handling them, as temperature control will be pretty important to get the most effective damage out of this weapon. So really can't wait to start practicing with these. Again, I feel like they're going to be more of a 4.0 release, weapons found around Pyro rather than in Stanton consistently, so we might not see them until later on this year. Now next up, talking of Pyro, we got to see the Pyro SMG, which is a small compact weapon, with the idea being that these types of weapons were made by the people who live in Pyro, so out on the fringes of the universe. basically making weapons out of whatever materials they can get their hands on. And as you can see here, it looks like it's been fashioned out of a Greycat multi-tool, kind of mashed together with other bits. Now it has a very high rate of fire, it is, as I say, compact, so great for peeking corners, but not good at long-range engagements, so you want to keep it at close range only. And again, a very interesting design style, very different from anything that we have seen elsewhere, but it is also to make sense to the location that it's created in, where good materials, good methods are hard to come by. And I suspect when crafting does come along, crafting something like this will be quite quick, cheap and easy, but it will likely not last as long and break or malfunction quite often. So, a nice option, but definitely not something if you are a professional FPS guy. Now finally, we got to see the Novia Utiliflex crossbow, which is looking phenomenal. Now the reason for this being held up and not releasing sooner is to do with getting the physics of the bolts up to a decent enough standard, so having them stick into whatever they hit and persist for a duration rather than just disappearing like normal bullet shells do. Now this does look really cool, and if I recall correctly was an exclusive item that you could get if you backed Shroud of the Avatar while that was being built or crowdfunded in collaboration with Cloud Imperium Games. Of course, it will be available in-game to attain in other ways, but hopefully the bolt physics are now working as intended and this crossbow can actually get released. It'll be great for stealth kills, although it does sound slightly loud. Anyway, finally, they spoke about how animation and audio are a huge part of getting these weapons and tools to feel and sound great, and it takes a lot of collaboration between many teams to get items like these done to the standard that they are. Now, personally, I really love the weapons and items of Star Citizen. They are some of, if not the best, firearms and tools in the gaming industry, in my opinion. As in most games, due to metrics, I presume, the weapons can feel really clunky, very oversized, somewhat anime in style, especially in sci-fi genres, whereas Star Citizen's items and devices are tactile, very realistic, and very visceral as well. And I will certainly be collecting all of them and crafting as many as I can as well, so hopefully to the best quality if I'm good enough. Now, it was also blatantly obvious throughout this show that the team is extremely passionate about the work that they do, and what we have available to us already in way of weapons, items, and gadgets and tools is only scratching the surface for what is to come, as they want many, many more of all types, from conventional to alien and everywhere in between. Anyway, that was a great Inside Star Citizen. We have some good other episodes coming up over the next 2 weeks, but we must move on. So also this week, first up, the tech preview channel was opened up again for all backers to test the new server meshing configuration. Now, the initial test unfortunately failed, however, Cloud Imperium did try again, and hopefully this time the players were actually able to get in and get testing. Now, this specific test was intended to run for 2 to 4 hours to test the performance of the new meshing configuration, and I don't know how it went, as I didn't have time to test it myself, but as usual, please do let me know in the comments below how it went for you, and if you did manage to actually get in this time. Now, Alpha 324, which is the cargo and personal hangar build, formerly known as Alpha 323.2, was expected to release to the Evocati PTU on Friday night. However, Cloud Imperium stated that the build ran into some unrecoverable server deadlocks that would have made the build about as bad as the first tech preview build, which I believe means no one would be able to get in and try it. So they are holding off on a publish until this issue is resolved, which they say is most likely going to be Monday. So a real shame that we are still awaiting this patch, and it must be causing a lot of headaches for the team, as this has happened time and time again. Such a shame, and it must be really frustrating for Cloud Imperium as well, so I really hope to see it finally released to the Evocati PTU next week, and of course I will keep you all up to date as to what is happening here on YouTube and on Twitch as well as we hear more. Now, in celebration of Alien Week, Cloud Imperium have provided me and my community with a Gatac Sulen LTI game package to give away, and all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is firstly be a subscriber here on YouTube, and comment below on any video that I release between this one and next Sunday, telling me what you are planning to do in Alpha 324 the first time you get in upon its release to the live servers. Now I will pick a comment at random to be the winner and let that person know the week after that Sunday. And before we go, for those interested in picking up the Tobii Eye Tracker 5, which is the head tracking device that I use every time I play Star Citizen, it is a great time to do so while it is at 15% off until the 3rd of July. Now I can highly recommend it, as it is what I use to capture the B-roll footage during my off-grid series, plus it just immerses you in the cockpit, and in FPS, I do use it in first person as well. And using that link below will take you to that deal, plus it will directly support my content and channel, so thank you so much if you do so in advance. But do not worry if you can't pick one up this time, the sales happen very often, and there will be another sale at some point, which I will be sure to let you all know about. So that brings us to the end of the show. If you do enjoy my content, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. Also, I am able to do this thanks to my very generous patrons and channel members. If you appreciate what I do and would like to help make it even better from as little as $1 a month, all of the links are provided below.